Kim was speechless. She carefully surveyed their surroundings again. "You've seen us already. You should leave before they find you." The guests were running around to find the young man that Wayne and Rachel were looking for, but when they came back, Stephen would be exposed. Stephen knew Kim was just worried about him. "Okay, I'm leaving. I'll come to see you again." Valeria held out her pinky. "Promise?" Stephen linked his pinky with hers. "Promise." Wayne, Rachel, the Cassidy and Haynes families, and the guests searched the entire villa, but they couldn't find the young man. They'd even opened the cellar, but there was no trace of him. "We've searched the entire building," Wayne said, heading back to the hall. Rachel reassured him. "You know how talented he is. It won't be that easy to find him in a crowd." "I'm just worried that we'll never find him." "Don't worry, Dad," Rachel said. "We ran into him twice. He's meant to join us. We'll see him again." Wayne's disappointment eased. He turned to the Cassidy family. "Do what you can to look for him. We need to find him before the other aristocrats." The guests overheard him. The upper-class families in the district weren't aware of the aristocratic family's rankings, so they couldn't understand why he was so desperate to search for one person. Nevertheless, whoever it was couldn't be ordinary. A discussion broke out in hushed whispers. "We have no impression of that young man. I've never heard of him before. Does he really exist?" Meanwhile, Rebecca, Harry, and Rome had switched gears to focus on their plan of getting rid of Stephen. Rebecca pointed to the entrance of the villa. "We saw Stephen not too long ago. No one left, which means he's still here." Harry peered out into the hall. He vaguely saw two people in the corner. He gave Rebecca and Rome a nod and walked up to Wayne. "Mr. Wayne, we searched everywhere except the hall. Maybe he's in there." "You're right. I almost forgot about that." Wayne hurried into the hall. Nor heard their footsteps approaching. "Mr. Adams, they're coming back." Kim and Valeria were here, so Stephen didn't want them to worry. "Try to avoid them." Nor pushed Stephen's wheelchair around the corner out of sight. When Wayne and the guests entered the hall, they didn't see anyone around. Harry was confused. He thought he'd seen two people in the corner just now. Maybe he got it wrong. Nor and Stephen stayed hidden as the upper-class families searched the hall. With their cultivation, it was easy for them to erase their presence. Wayne noticed Kim and Valeria on the other side of the room. He hurried over to them. "Kim, did you see anyone in the hall?" "No, it was just us." Kim spoke casually, but her heart was pounding. She was worried that Wayne would see through her lie. "Never mind. He must have left without us knowing," Wayne said, disappointed. "If he's not here, we won't be able to find him even if we searched all night. The upper-class families prepared this celebration for us. We should enjoy it," Rachel suggested. Wayne wasn't in the mood, but Rachel was right. They couldn't let the upper-class families' hard work go to waste. And so, the celebration continued. Harry, Rebecca, and Rome gathered together again. "If we didn't waste time searching for that guy, we would have caught Stephen," Rebecca complained. "Our plan is ruined," Harry grumbled. "Hey, don't give up yet," Rome said. "No one left the villa, which means Stephen is still here. We still have a chance. I have an idea. Wait for me here." He crossed the room to inform Wayne that Stephen was here. At the mention of Stephen, all the guests turned their attention to Rome, listening intently. Rebecca came over and raised her hand. "I saw him too. He's challenging your authority." "Maybe his confidence comes from his previous status as the commander," Harry added. Kim grew nervous. She hoped Stephen and his bodyguard made it out. Wayne frowned. "Are you saying some outsider ignored my warning?" "It's not the first time," DeAndre said. "If he's here, we should teach him a lesson and restore our reputation. You're the head of the Fallon family. Your authority can't be questioned." DeAndre instructed everyone present to search for Stephen. Harry, Rome, and Rebecca joined in the search. Harry took a step further and asked the staff to seal off all entrances and exits. In order to find Stephen, all the employees and guests at the villa came out in full force. Kim stayed out of their way with Valeria, hoping they wouldn't notice anything suspicious. Half an hour later, everyone came back to the hall to report to Wayne. All of them had returned empty-handed. Harry, Rome, and Rebecca were especially surprised. They'd seen Stephen with their own eyes. The villa was sealed off. He couldn't have escaped. Kim was relieved. If they couldn't find him, that meant he'd probably slipped away when no one was looking. Wayne waved Rome over. "Come here. Are you sure you saw Stephen?" "Absolutely. I wouldn't dare lie to you." "I can testify," Rebecca said. "Me too," Harry said. "Keep searching," Wayne instructed. "We have to find him, even if we have to dig 3 feet deep into the ground. It's understandable that we couldn't find that young man, but it doesn't make sense for Stephen to get one over on us." The crowd dispersed. Another search was underway. Even the Fallon family's subordinates had been dispatched to cover more ground. No one could leave undetected within 3 miles of the villa. Nor and Stephen had left the villa a while back. Nor was driving them back to the main road when the Fallon family's subordinates blocked their path. "Get out of the car," they demanded. Nor rolled down the window. "And who are you?" "That's none of your business. We've been instructed to inspect every car that's leaving." They were about to tell Nor to get out of the car again when the window to the back seat rolled down. The person inside was all too familiar. It was the same young man they'd encountered earlier in the day. He was also the person who'd given them a beating. This was the young man that Wayne had stopped the celebration to look for. If Wayne found out that they'd disrespected the young man he held in high regard, their lives would be over. "Do you still want to inspect my car?" Stephen asked. No, there's no need for that," they stuttered. "Then get out of the way," Nor said. They stepped to the side. The leader of the group bravely called out to the young man. "Excuse me, sir?" "What do you want?" Stephen asked impatiently. "Mr. Wayne would like to meet with you." Stephen glared at him. "I don't have time for that. I'm warning you, don't follow me and don't look for me unless you want what happened this morning to happen again." The intense look in his eyes made them shrink back. They were frozen in place even after the car had long disappeared into the distance. The leader of the group was the first to come back to reality. "Why are you all standing around? Report this to Mr. Wayne." They rushed back into the villa. "Did you find Stephen?" Helen asked, noticing her hurried footsteps. The leader ignored her and went straight to Wayne. "We met the young man from this morning. He really was here." "You found him? Then where is he?" All thoughts of finding Stephen, or whatever his name was forgotten. "He left. He told us to stop looking for him. He warned us that there would be a repeat of this morning if we didn't listen." Wayne's excitement vanished. The young man had made himself clear. He had given up here. His mood soured. He wasn't in the mood to chat with the guests anymore. "He was probably annoyed because we bothered him," Rachel said. "We can just meet him by chance." "That's easier said than done. The district is huge. What are the chances of us running into him?" "It might not be as hard as you think. Assuming he lives in the district, our chances aren't 0, at least." Wayne brightened. As long as they had a chance, not all hope was lost. He complimented his subordinates for their great work and gave them a raise. After that, he announced that the celebration would continue. Kim was reassured when Wayne seemed to have forgotten all about Stephen. Harry, Rome, and Rebecca were dumbfounded. Harry didn't want to give up like this. He was planning on reminding Wayne about Stephen, but Rome stopped him. "He's in a good mood right now. It's not a good idea to ruin it. He might take out his anger on us if we got on his nerves." Harry had no choice but to give in. "How is Stephen this lucky?" Rebecca complained. "He escapes every time." "Forget about it," Harry said. "There'll be another opportunity." Their plan to get rid of Stephen had failed, but at least Wayne and Rachel would be staying with the Cassidy family for the time being. They were the first ones to have a leader of an aristocratic family stay at their house. Over the next few days, the Cassidy family's status and reputation rose and reached its peak. Influential figures from around the country came to pay them a visit, including high-ranking officials. Harry, Rome, and Rebecca's status soared alongside their family. The Cassidy family is ranked first in the country now that Wayne Fallon is staying with them, Aston reported to Stephen. That's not important. They're just using others to get ahead of everyone else. The Cassidy family doesn't have much history, then there's no one among them who's capable of maintaining their position. When the Fallon family disregards them, they'll drop back to the bottom. Anyway, what's going on with the hidden factions? We're still investigating. The leads are vague, but we've found the name of one of the factions. They call themselves Vindictus. Stephen had never heard of Vindictus. Their name implied that they held some kind of grudge against the country. He told Aston to keep investigating. After their meeting, the Leviathan unit dropped by. They weren't as anxious as last time, meaning that they didn't have an urgent mission for him. The newly developed drug from the research center on Mirage Island received the approval of the National Laboratory to be mass-produced. The officials have decided to distribute the drug to our country's meritorious citizens to honor them for their contributions. You are on the list. We're here to inform you that you're invited to Annapolis to receive your portion. Mass production of the drug would benefit the country significantly. Military-wise, it could greatly reduce casualties and increase combat strength. However, production of the first batch was limited, so after much consideration, the officials decided to distribute them to citizens who had made significant contributions to the country. For example, Dr. Lionel Sloan, the 4 great generals, Kylan Gale, and Sylvia Straya. Of course, Stephen was also on the list. The officials had made the list public to honor these individuals. When the people saw Stephen's name, they didn't have any objections. He was the former commander, and his contributions were well known. The list was aired on national television channels, causing heated discussions across the country. The Cassidy family was no exception. At this time, they were gathered in front of the TV, bustling with noise and excitement. Rome, who was famous in the family for being all-knowing, explained the drug, as if he were the developer. I heard this drug has the ability to reverse the laws of the universe. It can bring people back to life. You'll survive even if you have 1 foot in the grave. Helen didn't quite believe it. Is it really that magical? It is, Harry confirmed. I saw a report from the lab in Annapolis. A soldier who was on the brink of death was brought back to life with the drug. Rebecca added, I heard when the drug was being transported from Mirage Island to Annapolis, Warhawk sent out their forces to steal it. But because our sovereign was in charge of the transport, it was safely delivered. There's more, Harry continued. They say a certain leader of a country overseas who's on good terms with the U.S. offered to give up the entire city in exchange for the drug. The officials refused. A mere city is nothing for this miraculous drug. Isn't this similar to an elixir of immortality? Helen asked. It's not the same thing, but it is the closest, Rebecca said. They were exaggerating, but the drug's effects were undeniable. It was mystical and fascinating. This same discussion was taking place around the country. The drug's effects were blown out of proportion, but what it could do remained a fact. Chronically ill patients could recover if they took the drug. Helen glanced at the TV. I saw Stephen's name on the list. Do you really think he'll be given the drug? That was on national television stations, Rebecca said. The list is real. Stephen used to be the commander. He's not the same as he used to be, but he is a citizen who's contributed a lot to the country. Why wouldn't he be on the list? Helen had an idea. If we get the drug from Stephen and give it to Wayne, it'll be the same as finding the person he's looking for. This was an opportunity to win Wayne and Rachel's favor. They were temporarily staying at their residence, and it was an honor. But at the end of the day, they were aristocrats. They would leave once they found the martial arts genius they were looking for, and the Cassidy family's status would fall drastically. But things would be different if they gave Wayne and Rachel the drug. Not only would they be handing over a priceless treasure, they would win their favor by demonstrating what they were capable of. Their connection with the Fallon family would be more secure, and it would only be a matter of time before they became one of them. Rome was the first to express his agreement. Grandma's right. Stephen's disabled. What can the drug do for him? It's a waste, Rebecca said. It's useless in his hands, Harry added. Helen nodded. This is a rare opportunity. Don't mess this up. We won't disappoint you, Rome said. We'll get the drug from Stephen. Harry and Rebecca were just as confident. And I'll wait for your good news, Helen said. After a pause, she changed her mind. On second thought, I'll go with you. The number of people who wanted this miracle drug was too many to count. People like Wayne, who had everything there was to have, sought after new inventions, and this drug was one of a kind. Helen, Harry, Rebecca, and Rome were impatient, so they hurried to Stephen's house. Stephen had just returned from Annapolis. He was surprised to run into them at the entrance. What are you all doing here? The Cassidy family was aggressive and demanding every time they came over, but today they were oddly polite, and they weren't empty-handed. Harry and Rome were carrying bags of herbal tonics. The last time the Cassidy family acted this friendly was when he came back from the ceremony in Annapolis. They'd brought boxes of clothes and toys for Valeria, with the intention to bargain for his souvenirs. And this time was probably for the same reason. He had something they wanted. How have you been, Stephen? Helen asked with a smile. You don't look so good. We brought you herbal tonics. Take them and you'll feel better. Harry and Rome handed him the bags. I'm very healthy, Stephen said. You should take them instead. Helen didn't get angry at his remark. I can't do that. We brought them for you. Stephen wasn't in the mood to keep the farce. You came all the way here to ask how I was doing? What do you mean? We're family, so we care about you, Helen said. We came to check on you and congratulate you. We saw your name on TV, Rome explained. We wanted to congratulate you for being invited to that award ceremony. In that case, thank you. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Nora was about to push Stephen's wheelchair into the house when Helen stopped them. Wait, Stephen, you went to Annapolis for the drug. Can we take a look? Stephen stifled a laugh. It didn't take long for them to reveal their true intentions for coming over. No, the drug needs to be preserved. I can't just casually take it out to show it to you. Its effects will be reduced. In reality, he just didn't want to show it to them. Helen didn't doubt him. You're right, you should keep the drug safe. But what do you plan on doing with it? You haven't taken it yet, right? No, I just came back from Annapolis. Helen could barely suppress her grin when she heard that Stephen still had the drug. What a coincidence! Can you sell us the drug? Name any price. We'll give you whatever you want. She'd made up her mind. Even if she had to give up her entire family, she needed that drug. They would become part of the Fallon family if they gave the drug to Wayne. Their sacrifice would be worth it. Harry, Rebecca, and Rome offered the same deal. Unfortunately, I don't need money, Stephen said. I have enough of that. The four of them shared an awkward look. They weren't used to thinking of Stephen as the former commander yet. He was disabled, but it wasn't as if he needed to work to earn a living. With his past contributions, he would have enough money to last his entire life. Not to mention, Sylvie was the general of the army, and she seemed very concerned about him. If he needed help, she would agree without question. Rome changed tactics. It doesn't have to be money. You can request anything you want. As long as it's a request we can fulfill, we'll do it. The four of them were desperate for the drug. It was the key to becoming members of the Fallon family. I don't need anything, Stephen said indifferently, turning away. Helen stopped him once again and shouted, Don't you want to see Kim and Valeria? If you agree to give us the drug, I promise I'll persuade Mr. Wayne to let you see them again and live together. Harry, Rebecca, and Rome looked at her in amazement. They hadn't thought of that. Stephen didn't lack money, but he did miss his family. Helen went on when Stephen didn't say anything. Are you worried? Don't be. I'll keep my word. My husband is Mr. Wayne's uncle. I at least have the authority to make requests. Think about it, Rebecca echoed. Your condition will be the same whether you have the drug or not. Wouldn't it be better to trade something that has no value to you to have your family by your side again? They were confident that this was a tempting offer that Stephen couldn't refuse. If Mr. Wayne declared that he couldn't meet Kim and Valeria again, then that was that. This was his only chance to reunite with them.
They were thinking they had this in the bag when Stephen glanced back at them and said, "There's no need for that. I'm not in a hurry. I'll be bringing Kim and Valeria home in 3 months." To be honest, Stephen would have some reservations if Wayne told Kim and Valeria to come back. He was still investigating the hidden factions, and there was danger all around. They would be safer with the Cassidy family. Besides, since when did he need to bargain just to see his family again? Helen didn't believe him. "We know you used to be the commander, but you're disabled now. How do you plan on getting back to your old position?" "Are you that confident you'll succeed in 3 months?" Rebecca mocked. "You need a reality check." "Mr. Wayne made it clear," Harry said. "If you don't fulfill his conditions, then you're not qualified to see Kim and Valeria again." "Are you done?" Stephen asked. "If you are, then please leave. I appreciate your token of gratitude, but I don't need it. Take your herbal tonics back." Helen frowned. "Don't you want to see Kim and Valeria?" "That's none of your business. If I want to see them and ask them to come home in 3 months, no one can stop me." "Where are you getting this confidence from?" Helen eyed his wheelchair disdainfully. Even if he didn't have to worry about money, a child could kill him in his condition. "I guess this means you're not selling us the drug." "Did you just realize that?" Stephen retorted. Helen was seething on the inside, but there was nothing she could do. Stephen had the drug. The longer they dragged out their argument, the more they would be at a disadvantage. Rebecca had a flash of inspiration. "Stephen, you're really something. I suggest you listen to us and sell us the drug. If not, what?" Stephen's voice was low and threatening. Rebecca wasn't fazed. "Kim and Valeria are staying with us. What if something happens to them? Are you okay with that?" "Watch it, Rebecca," Stephen warned. "Don't cross the line." Helen hurriedly pulled Rebecca back. "Be quiet. Don't say that again, do you understand? If someone overheard, even I wouldn't be able to protect you." Helen knew how much DeAndre doted on Kim. If Rebecca did anything to harm her, he wouldn't let her go. Rebecca realized that she shouldn't have said that. She shut her mouth and didn't say anything else. Helen eased her tone. "You can ask for anything. I can give up the entire family if that's what you want." "No, you should leave," Stephen said. "I have everything I want. I don't need anything else." The 4 of them stood there helplessly. He was so stubborn. He wasn't swayed even when they brought up his family. Sylvie's security guard stepped in. "Please head back. Mr. Adams needs to rest. If you don't leave, we'll have to use force." They left as they were told. They couldn't afford to get on Sylvie's bad side. "We can't just leave like this," Rome said. "Stephen's stubborn, but what about his mother? Kim and Valeria aren't much of a threat because he knows we can't do anything to them. Victoria is different." "That's brilliant," Rebecca praised. "He'll have to give in if his mother's involved." "Stephen cares about her," Rome said. "If we have her in our grasp, he'll be forced to meet our demands." "It won't be that easy," Helen countered. "What if he still doesn't listen to us?" Rome's eyes flashed. "Then we'll threaten her life in front of him. He's smart, so he'll make the correct choice." Helen felt goosebumps on her arms at the dangerous look on his face. "I think that's going a bit too far." They were all in-laws. Rome's suggestion didn't sit right with her. "What's wrong with it?" Harry asked. "Stephen doesn't care about us, so why should we care about him? Think of it as us returning the favor. For the sake of our family's future, certain methods are necessary." Helen was hesitant, but she eventually gave in. They went home to plan. When they opened the door, they almost ran into DeAndre. He'd been waiting for them. "Helen, I heard you went to ask Stephen for the drug." "Yes, we did." DeAndre glanced at them with disappointment on his face. "It seems you couldn't get it from him. If you can't handle something this trivial, how are you going to prove yourself to Wayne?" "We failed this time, but we have another idea," Harry said. "We won't disappoint you." Helen nodded. "You should trust us." "Okay, I'll wait for your good news." After moving into the Cassidy family's residence, Rachel didn't stay idle. She mobilized a large group of her subordinates to search for the martial arts genius in the district. She went from house to house and asked if they knew anyone who matched his description. Today, Rachel ran back to the Cassidy family's house excitedly. From the way she was rushing over, Wayne expected good news. "Did you find him?" "Not yet, but I learned something important." "You did? What's this about?" "The Chevalier family is in the district. Their numbers are concentrated in one neighborhood. They're here for someone." Wayne contemplated her discovery. "The head of the Chevalier family was the one who proposed to annul the covenant. They're the reason we ended our seclusion and came outside. At that time, he confidently said that the Leviathan unit wouldn't care. He was right because no one had confronted us yet. But how did he know? Can he predict the future?" He paused, realizing that he was getting off track. "Do you know who their target is?" "No, but judging from their location, they're surrounding one particular villa in the neighborhood. Their target most likely lives there, but they haven't made their move for some reason." "I see. Sneak inside tonight and find out who they're after. I'm curious as to which outsider could make the Chevalier family so afraid of them." "Okay." Rachel asked a few of her subordinates to scout the villa's vicinity to prepare for tonight. "By the way, how's your search going?" Wayne asked. "Not that well. He's an outsider, but he's unpredictable and has a mysterious identity. I've been searching for half a month, but there's no sign of him. There are still some places in the district I haven't searched yet. He might be there." "All right, keep it up. We have to find him." In the evening, Rachel's subordinates returned to report. Rachel was satisfied with their assessment. She gathered a small group of her subordinates and headed to the villa. Sylvie's bodyguards were patrolling the area, but it wasn't difficult for Rachel and her subordinates to slip past them. They took advantage of the moonless night and slipped past the gates unnoticed. Rachel didn't bring too many people with her, but having more than one person enter the villa would increase their chances of being discovered. She decided to go alone. Her subordinates agreed to stay back. Rachel was young, but she was proficient in martial arts. She was agile and dexterous. She made it inside the villa and began her search. The interior looked like the residence of a normal person. Nothing was out of the ordinary. She reached high and low, but she couldn't find anyone. There was no one in the living room, kitchen, or bathroom. The only places left were the bedrooms. There was a bedroom down the hall. The door was closed, but there was a light coming through the crack. Rachel tiptoed over. Just as she was about to open the door, a man's voice echoed down the hallway. "Who are you?" Rachel froze. She quickly withdrew her hand that was reaching for the doorknob. "Where are you hiding? Show yourself." "You've trespassed on private property. Who are you to be making demands?" A gust of violent winds swept through the hallway. The door to the bedroom opened on its own, and a presence brushed past Rachel as fast as lightning. She didn't have time to react before she felt a hand on her neck. The fingers tightened but eased in the next moment. The man's voice sounded behind her. "Why is it you?" Rachel felt his hand leave her neck. She coughed once before turning around. Her eyes widened when she came face to face with the person she'd been searching the district for. "What are you doing here?" Stephen asked. "Sorry, I didn't know this was your house. I wouldn't have broken in if I knew." "Why did you trespass in the middle of the night?" "The truth is..." Rachel explained the situation with the Chevalier family and how they were gathering outside his villa. Stephen nodded in understanding. This was her and Wayne's first time on the outside. It was normal for them to be curious about the other aristocratic families. It wasn't a crime to be curious. Can I ask why they're monitoring you? Did you get into a conflict with them? They want to kill me. Rachel was taken aback. Have they lost their minds? They want to kill you? His potential was limitless. Shouldn't the Chevalier family have tried to win him over? Or perhaps they were one step ahead and discovered him first. They failed in winning him over, so disposing of him was the best option. If that's all, then leave, Stephen said. I'll be honest with you. You got lucky. I mistook you for one of them and almost killed you. Don't sneak around here again. Rachel had been so stunned to see him that she had forgotten her close encounter with death. The Chevalier family was waiting outside. If he hadn't realized that it was her, she would have been dead already. Sorry for bothering you. I'll be taking my leave. This trip hadn't turned out the way she expected, but she'd gained a lot out of it. She'd found out where the martial arts genius lived, and more importantly, she'd learned that the Chevalier family was here to kill him. This was a valuable piece of information. Rachel threw open the door to the Cassidy family's residence and shouted for Wayne. Dad, I have good news. Her loud voice drew the family's attention. Wayne stood up expectantly. What good news? Did you find him? Yes, I found out where he lives. He was nicer than I expected. The Cassidy family was surprised. They'd never heard of a martial arts genius in the district. Even the upper-class families didn't know, and they'd been here for a long time. What did he say? Wayne asked. He's in a tight spot. The Chevalier family are outside his home because they're looking for an opportunity to get rid of him. Why would they target him? Rachel explained that there was the possibility that the Chevalier family had found him first. They couldn't bring him to their side, so they decided that it would be best to dispose of him. No, that can't be it, Wayne said. The Chevalier family came outside to find the culprit who killed their people. There are rumors that the culprit is a big shot in the military. The man we ran into in the park has been keeping a low profile. Those underlings from the Chevalier family couldn't have discovered his potential. There must be some other reason for their conflicts. Rachel explained everything to her father, that the Chevalier family had found him first. Looking at the current situation, he's most likely provoked them somehow, Wayne explained. If the Chevalier family insists on getting rid of him, he might not be able to fend them off alone. He has the potential to rival the 5 erudites, but he's still an outsider. The Chevalier family's ranked among the top 10 aristocratic families. It'll be hard for him to get away in one piece. Rachel was enlightened. There's so many of them around his house. It's not safe for him to stay there. They haven't done anything yet. They're probably waiting for the right time. But wouldn't things get complicated if we get involved? They are from the Chevalier family. Wayne smiled. It's not complicated at all. It's a good opportunity for us. I could ask the head of the Chevalier family to pardon him, and he'll agree. The problem would be easily resolved. I get it now, Rachel said. You'll be doing that person a favor, so in exchange, he'll repay your kindness by joining our family. That's my plan. Wayne took out his phone to contact the head of the Chevalier family. He got straight to the point when the call went through. I know you're targeting the owner of the villa, but he's under my protection. Please let him go. Why? Isn't he just an outsider with no connection to you? You don't have to worry about that. Will you accept my request or not? There was a brief silence before the head of the Chevalier family spoke again. Okay, I'll do as you ask. The Chevalier family had ventured outside to avenge Jameson and his students, but that was only part of the reason. They had been looking for a reason to end their seclusion for a long time, and their deaths became the perfect excuse. Jameson and his students didn't have high status in the family. If they were killed by an outsider, then so be it. The Chevalier family couldn't become enemies with the Fallon family for the sake of a few members whose deaths didn't really matter. If they ignored Wayne and pursued this to the end, the losses would outweigh the gains. The Fallon family was ranked 10th, but that was a superficial evaluation. Their martial arts were skilled, and there was a possibility that they could overpower the Chevalier family. Taking all that into consideration, there was only one decision the head of the Chevalier family could make. He hung up and asked his people to withdraw. Noor sensed them retreating and informed Stephen. It's odd. I don't know why they're leaving after staking out for so long. Stephen thought it was strange, too. They'd been targeting him since the end of their seclusion, but now they were withdrawing without making a move. He asked Noor to contact Aston to find out if there was some internal strife going on. Rachel received news of the Chevalier family's retreat and wanted to tell her father. Dad, they're gone. They work fast, Wayne said. Tomorrow we'll pay him a visit and let him know what our family is capable of. He'll have no choice but to join us. DeAndre was impressed with this strategy. This was exactly why he'd helped Wayne become the head of the Fallon family. He was ambitious and talented. He knew just what to do to get the job done. The next day, Wayne and Rachel woke up early to prepare for the meeting. Wayne was in high spirits and full of confidence. He was certain that today's recruitment would end in success. DeAndre, Helen, and the rest of the Cassidy family had been up since dawn. They got ready early to wait for them. When Wayne and Rachel were about to set off, they noticed DeAndre, Helen, and the others were following them. You don't have to come. Why not? DeAndre asked. Wouldn't having a large group make you more credible? No, he's the type who works alone. He doesn't like noise. Wayne glanced at the Cassidy family. They'll get in the way if they come with us. The Cassidy family was disappointed. Helen, Harry, Rebecca, and Rome were even more determined to win Wayne's favor by getting their hands on that drug. There was a gap between the aristocrats and the outsiders. The only way to close the distance was to become a member of the Fallon family. Wayne realized that his words were a bit too direct. The Cassidy family was DeAndre's family, after all. Don't take it the wrong way. He's independent, and he would prefer a small crowd over a large one. Anyway, I'll be bringing him back later. You'll meet him soon. There's no need to rush. DeAndre didn't take it to heart. Good luck. We'll wait for you at home. Wayne and Rachel went to the villa alone. When Rachel pressed the doorbell, the familiar voice of the man in the park greeted them. Who is it? Wayne straightened his collar and cleared his throat. I'm the head of the Fallon family, Wayne Fallon. I'm here with my daughter to pay you a visit. The door opened. Stephen appeared in the doorway with Noor. He was getting annoyed by their antics. It's you two again. Why are you here? I'm here to tell you that your crisis has been averted. Crisis? Stephen looked at Noor. What crisis? Noor shrugged. He was just as confused. Rachel told me about the grudge with the Chevalier family yesterday, Wayne explained. I contacted the head of the Chevalier family, and he promised he'd let it go. The conflict between you two's been written off, Rachel added. She spoke carefully and implied that this had been possible because of Wayne's influence. So that's how it is, Stephen said. No wonder the Chevalier family had left after waiting outside the villa for so long. Nothing serious had happened internally. It was because of Wayne. That was why he looked so proud of himself. There was no crisis to begin with. Stephen could have handled them on his own. Okay, I got it. Wayne and Rachel looked at each other in dismay. Even if he wasn't grateful, he should have at least thanked them. Why was he being so nonchalant? Unless he thought he could take on the entire Chevalier family by himself. That was too naive. Even Wayne wouldn't attempt something that risky. Sir, did you not know that you were being targeted? Wayne asked. Of course I knew. It's not like they were here for a day or two. They could have gotten rid of me that easily. Wayne and Rachel exchanged another glance. Their guess was correct. He was too overconfident in his abilities. Wayne tried again. Sir, those people can't be underestimated. You could have been killed. They left because of me. And? What are you trying to say? I don't need your gratitude. I have one request. I want you to join my family. If you join us, this won't happen again. The Chevalier family would never have targeted you if you were one of us. I promise that the conditions are still the same as before. I'll pass on my position to you in the future. Think it over carefully. Wayne was confident. He'd put his cards on the table. There was no reason for him to refuse. Contrary to his expectations, Stephen did just that. Why should I thank you? I never asked you to do that for me. The Chevalier family is nothing to me. I don't think too much of them. The Chevalier family has been hiding around the villa for quite some time. In the beginning, they held back because of Sylvie and her guards. But after so long, it was impossible for them to not have sensed Nora's aura. Not to mention, Stephen's aura was nothing to scoff at either. Stephen was describing the situation as it was, but Wayne and Rachel thought he was being absurd. No aristocrat would ever overestimate themselves like that. He was a genius in martial arts, but his origins would always be an outsider. He had the potential to be on par with the 5 erudites, but right now he was far from it. Before he got to that level, he was no match for the Chevalier family. Young man, it's a good thing to be confident, but you should know a losing battle when you see one, Wayne said. You have potential, but the current you isn't strong enough to go against the Chevalier family. Rachel nodded. Dad is being sincere when he says he wants you to join the family. We'll provide you with the best resources. We can help you. Stephen sighed. You two are really persistent. An ordinary person would have been tempted and given in a long time ago. But I'm not an ordinary person. We know you aren't, Wayne said. That's why we want you to join us. If you have a condition, let us know. Stephen looked at him and then at his daughter. They were getting really annoying. They didn't know when to give up. He would have to force them. Then I can ask for anything? Yes, go ahead. Okay, I could join your family, but my condition is for you to hand over your position. Wayne was at a loss for words. He had every intention to make him the next successor, but that didn't mean he wanted to hand over his position now. This man was more ambitious than he'd thought. Rachel was fuming. Sir, please know your place. How dare you be so rude to my father? Are you looking down on the Fallon family? The real experts of our family haven't come outside yet. Either one of them can take you down. How could you think of such an unreasonable request? Wayne remained quiet from the beginning to the end of Rachel's tirade. It doesn't matter what you say, Stephen said. That's the only condition I have. If you agree, I'll join you. If you don't, then I won't. It's that simple. Please leave and don't come looking for me again in the future. He was certain that Wayne wouldn't be handing over his position. Wayne was silent for a few more minutes. In the end, he said, Give me some time to think it over, before leaving with Rachel. Dad, you're not really planning to give him your position, right? Rachel asked when they met up with their subordinates. It hadn't been easy for her father to become the head of the family. He couldn't give up his position after putting in so much effort to get there. Wayne was feeling conflicted because of his request. On one hand, the young man had the potential to bring their family to the top, but on the other, the core of their family's power would be out of Wayne's grasp. It was like drawing water from a bamboo basket. Wayne deliberated his options, but decided he couldn't agree to it. Their subordinates weren't pleased when they heard about the young man's demands. He may be a genius, but he's far from being qualified to make Mr. Wayne yield to him. He's taking advantage of Mr. Wayne's kindness. Rachel didn't think it would be this hard to convince an outsider to join them. What are you thinking about? She asked when her father didn't respond. Wayne looked at her. Did you notice anything during our exchange? His arrogance is his biggest flaw. I noticed, but isn't it normal for him to be conceited? He has the skills to prove it. No, you don't understand. What I mean is, if we can find someone to defeat him, he'll be more determined to get stronger. And to do that, he'll have to join our family. Rachel's eyes lit up. I get it. We need to find someone from our family to subdue him. That's the only way he'll learn that there will always be someone stronger than him. That's right. There's no time to waste. The other aristocrats will find him soon. We have the upper hand because we found him first. It'll get messy if they start competing with us. Who should we send? Every aristocratic family kept their trump cards hidden. If it weren't a life or death situation, they would never send them out. The Fallon family followed this trend. They were elite martial artists in their family who Rachel had only heard of but never seen in person. Their names were legendary, but no one knew if they really existed. Wayne had already thought of the ideal candidate. I'll ask Dale Fallon to take care of this. Wayne had already thought of the ideal candidate that was Dale Fallon. Dale Fallon? Rachel had heard of his name before. He was famous for being ranked first in martial arts in the Fallon family, and he was publicly acknowledged at the annual Sword Discourse Conference that was held by elite martial artists of aristocratic families. Among the aristocrats, he was reputed to possess the potential closest to rivaling the 5 erudites. It wasn't to the extent where he could face off against the 5 of them on his own, but in a one-on-one fight, the battle could end in a draw. The Fallon family was ranked 10th among the top 10 aristocratic families, but this ranking didn't take into account their trump card. With Dale around, the other aristocrats couldn't underestimate their family. He was known as the strongest martial artist to exist in the past few hundred years. Dale had a gift for martial arts. He'd learned everything there was to learn in the Fallon family's archives. There was no one like him among the aristocrats. He'd cultivated his martial arts for at least 200 years, and he'd reached a level where typical martial artists would require only 1,000 years to cultivate. Dale had the ability to destroy an entire country by himself. More than 100 years ago, he crossed the ocean on a wooden boat and ruined a country in the north with one sword strike alone. There had been 100,000 soldiers, but the country in the north was utterly defeated. Dale rampaged across the land until the officials surrendered. Many years had passed since then, but the Fallon family had never forgotten Dale's glorious history. Rachel was astonished that her father was sending Dale out on the job. Teaching that person a lesson will be child's play for Dale. The only person who can make geniuses submit are those who are stronger than them. If I had known things would turn out this way, I wouldn't have gone to the trouble of contacting the head of the Chevalier family, Wayne said. That person is stubborn, and the only way to make him join us is to use force. Subsequently, Wayne wrote a personal letter and passed it to Rachel, asking her to contact Dale. The aristocrats were different from the outsiders. They paid attention to the cultivation of the martial path, but didn't care much about the technological advancements on the outside. Their living facilities were far from modern, and their method of communication was through letters delivered by carrier pigeons. At a secluded valley on the Fallon family's territory, an elderly man was sitting cross-legged beside a stream. He was the martial artist ranked first in the Fallon family, Dale Fallon. He opened his eyes when he sensed a presence nearby. His attendant came over with a carrier pigeon in his arms. "Mr. Wayne sent you a letter." "What did he write?" Dale asked. "Mr. Wayne found a martial arts genius when he went on a trip to the outside. If he's properly trained, he has the potential to rival the 5 erudites of the Central Plains. Mr. Wayne is hoping that you end your seclusion and subdue him with your martial arts." "There's an outsider who the head of the family values this much? I would like to meet him." Meanwhile, Wayne and Rachel had returned to the Cassidy family's residence. DeAndre, Helen, and the others went to the door to welcome them back. They were curious about the mysterious martial arts genius they'd gone out to meet. It was strange that no one had heard of him before, not even the upper-class families in the district. It was like he'd appeared out of thin air. "How did it go?" DeAndre asked. "Did he agree to join the family?" "Not yet, but it's only a matter of time," Wayne replied. DeAndre broke into a smile. "That's great. Our family's future will be secured if he's on our side." But the Cassidy family was confused. Wayne sounded confident, but where was the martial arts genius? "Does he really exist?" Harry asked carefully. "The district is big, but it's small compared to other places. Why would someone like him be—" Wayne interrupted him with a displeased expression. "Are you questioning me? I've seen him twice with my own eyes. You're all ordinary people. Consider yourselves lucky if you ever cross paths with him." The Cassidy family hadn't expected Wayne to respect an outsider to this extent in such a short amount of time. Who exactly was he? "Can you tell us where he's staying?" Harry asked. "He's a genius. He likes peace and quiet, so he can focus on cultivating his martial arts. Ordinary people like you have no right to know where he lives." After being thoroughly schooled by Wayne, Harry didn't ask any more questions. Truthfully, Wayne didn't tell them, because he was worried that they would go and bother that young man and ruin his plans of recruiting him into the family.
I know where he lives, Valeria said. He's my daddy.
Everyone's gaze fell on her. Your father? Rachel asked curiously. The person we're talking about is good at fighting. He can't be your father. He's not even the commander anymore.
My daddy isn't the commander, but he is the sovereign.
Kim hurriedly picked her up. Valeria, don't talk nonsense. Valeria pouted.
I'm not talking nonsense.
The Cassidy family cast wary looks at Wayne. They were worried that he'd be angry after hearing Valeria's gibberish. Helen rushed to cover for her. Don't take what she said to heart. She's just a child, Rebecca added. She doesn't know what she's talking about. If you want to blame someone, then blame that good-for-nothing Stephen, Harry said. He doesn't know how to raise a child. He's always bragging and feeding her lies. Wayne didn't think too much of it. Why are you all so nervous? I don't care about a child's words. An outsider couldn't possibly be the sovereign. Only the aristocrats have the means to train someone like him. The person I've set my sights on is the only outsider who has the potential to be on equal footing with the sovereign. The rest of the day was uneventful, but the very next day, a shocking event shook the world. Dale Fallon, the strongest martial artist in the Fallon family, had ended his seclusion and ventured outside. The hidden clans had gradually left their territories to explore the outside world, and it was a chaotic turn of events. But they weren't a lawless bunch going around committing atrocities left and right. The higher-ups of the country didn't take any action against them, but that was all the more reason to be careful. Both sides had a mutual understanding that each of their movements was being closely monitored, even if it didn't seem that way on the surface. The Leviathan unit kept a close eye on the hidden clans, while the hidden clans kept tabs on each other. Even a proficient and experienced martial artist like Dale couldn't prevent drawing attention to himself when he left the Fallon family's territory. When the Chevalier family found out, they couldn't sit still anymore. The head of the family knew exactly what Dale was capable of. He speculated that the Fallon family was trying to monopolize the U.S. and instructed his intelligence team to investigate. The same situation was happening in the other aristocratic families. Of course, the Leviathan unit also made their move. After hearing about Dale's arrival on the outside, they held an emergency meeting early in the morning. What did the Fallon family want? They were superior martial artists. If they made their move, the world would be turned upside down. At this time, the gate to Stephen's villa was wide open. Wayne and Rachel were standing there with a large group of subordinates from the Fallon family, but they didn't belong to them. The subordinates worked for the elderly man with an astounding aura at the center. Dale appeared to be in his 60s, but he was actually over 200 years of age. Unlike the outsiders, the aristocrats advocated the importance of martial arts. They cultivated on a daily basis, strengthening their bodies and increasing their vitality. Their lifespans were typically much longer than the outsiders. Martial artists at Dale's level surpassed the limits of the human body. He was elderly, but his martial arts were unfathomable. Dale walked to the front of the crowd. Mr. Wayne, is this the genius you were talking about? Yes, that's him. Dale sized up the young man in front of him. At the same time, Stephen was also sizing him up. Sir, let me introduce you, Wayne said. This is the martial artist ranked first in our family, Dale Fallon. He heard you claim that you could suppress the hidden clans by yourself, so he ended his seclusion to have a match with you. Do you accept his challenge? Sure, why not? Stephen replied. It won't be easy, Wayne warned. Dale will show you the essence of our family and the gap between you and a true martial artist. Noor was watching the spectacle on the sidelines. He scoffed. I doubt it. Wayne ignored his comments and turned back to Dale. I'll leave the rest to you. Show him your strength and he'll volunteer to join us on his own. Dale was confident. I know how to deal with him. He was an invincible existence among the aristocratic families, and his martial arts were the closest to the 5 erudites. To the aristocrats, he'd achieved the impossible. Dale was impressed after scrutinizing the young man's cultivation. You didn't lie to me, Mr. Wayne. He's talented and has the potential to match up to the 5 erudites in the future. Wayne's expression turned smug. Dale's words were proof that he had a good eye for potential. Now, I understand why Mr. Wayne wants to recruit you, Dale said. On top of the conditions he proposed, I'll add another one. If you take me as your teacher, I'll teach you everything I know. You'll be on par with the 5 erudites in no time. Wayne's jaw dropped. Dale held a respectable position in the Fallon family, and this respect extended across the aristocratic families. In the past, there were many higher-ups of the Fallon family who wanted Dale to teach their children his martial arts. Wayne himself had paid him a visit deep in the mountains to request him to accept Rachel as his student, but all of them had been rejected. According to Dale, none of them were qualified to be his students. He'd only just met this young man, and he was already offering to be his teacher. The young man really was a heaven-defying genius. This once again proved that Wayne's decision to recruit him was correct. Stephen couldn't help but laugh. You want to be my teacher? You must be joking. Watch your words, Wayne warned. Mr. Dale is highly respected in our family. He's a respectable member of your family, not mine. Besides, he's not qualified to be my teacher. Wayne and Rachel looked at each other. Dale's confident expression cracked ever so slightly, but he said nothing. Wayne held in his anger and kept his tone neutral. Don't go overboard. I don't think you know how strong Mr. Dale is, so I'll explain it to you. He's been ranked first in our family for hundreds of years. He can ruin an entire country by himself, and he's the closest we've gotten to the 5 erudites. I never doubted his strength, Stephen said. But he's not qualified to take me on as a student. Wayne was rendered speechless. He'd introduced Dale's glorious history, but the young man wasn't moved. Maybe he didn't take either of them seriously. Dale was the most surprised out of everyone present. For the past hundreds of years, he'd had people coming to him and begging for him to teach their children. Some of them had even volunteered to go bankrupt. He'd rejected all of them, including Wayne and Rachel. And yet, the outsider in front of him was accusing him of not having the qualifications to be his teacher. If I'm not qualified, then who is? Dale demanded. The Fallon family pitied the young man. The opportunity to have Dale as his teacher was hard to come by, and he'd let it go without hesitation. He'd accomplished nothing but make Dale angry. The situation wasn't looking too good for him. But Stephen stood there calmly. You'll be qualified if you can defeat me. The Fallon family looked at him like he was crazy. Dale was an experienced martial artist over 200 years ago. He could kill the young man in an instant. Dale frowned. You're still young, so you haven't experienced any setbacks. You need an elder to teach you a lesson. I don't have time for chit-chat, Stephen said. If you want to fight, then come at me. If it's an early death you want, I'll give it to you. I'll make the first move. Watch carefully. Don't say I didn't warn you. Dale took one step forward. At least, that was what it looked like to everyone else. With this one step, he was already in front of Stephen. He'd closed the distance of 100 feet in a second. Rachel was astonished. I blinked, and he was already in front of him. He's as fast as a leopard. A leopard? No, Mr. Dale is faster than that, Wayne said. His speed is so fast that our eyes and brain can't register his movements in time. Noor was stunned by Dale's speed. Before he could process what he just saw, Dale made his move against Stephen. He threw out his fist in quick succession, shrouded by an illusion of afterimages. The Fallon family saw nothing but a cloud of dust. Stephen was nowhere to be seen. Perhaps he'd been flattened to the ground already. Even Noor was concerned. Dale had attacked more than 1,000 times within a few seconds. His punches looked weak, but they contained enough strength to split mountains and shatter the earth. Dale's moves were relatively simple because he had no use for flashy martial arts techniques. A simple and decisive blow could end a battle in record time. A deep depression of rubble was on the ground where Stephen had just been standing. There was no trace of him. The Fallon family assumed he'd been smashed into the ground and buried alive. Mr. Adams? Noor called out tentatively. There was an edge to his voice, a sign of rising panic. "Don't worry, he didn't die," Dale said. "I know what I'm doing. I can't lose a genius like him." Wayne glanced at the ruined ground doubtfully. "Isn't he half dead?" "What half dead? As long as he's breathing, I can save him. Just wait and see." Dale firmly believed that the young man would crawl out of the ground soon, although it would take a lot of effort. When the young man was out, he would beg him to be his teacher. "Who said I'm half dead?" Light filtered through the debris and pierced the sky. Stephen leapt out of the ground and landed lightly on his feet. His clothes were clean, and there wasn't a speck of dust on him. He didn't look like someone who'd just been buried in the ruins. Nora's racing heart slowed, seeing that Stephen was unharmed. The Fallon family couldn't believe their eyes. Dale was in disbelief. "You're fine?" Stephen grinned. "I'm more than fine. I estimate you landed around 1,000 hits on me. I barely felt any of it." Dale didn't look disappointed. If it were anyone else, they would have been turned into minced meat by now. "Your aptitude for martial arts is unlike anything I've seen before. Now I'm very interested in taking you on as my student." "You're getting ahead of yourself. You punched me 1,000 times, but I'm still standing. As for me, I only need one punch to deal with you." Dale snorted. "That's ridiculous." The young man was strong, but not strong enough to defeat him with a single punch. "You don't believe me?" Stephen asked. "Then you should watch carefully. Don't say I didn't warn you." Before Dale could react, the young man vanished and reappeared inches away from him. Unlike Dale, the Fallon family hadn't been able to track his movements. It was like a magic trick. The young man had disappeared and then reappeared in front of Dale. They didn't even have time to blink. Stephen threw out a punch at the speed of light. Dale felt a dull sensation on his torso, like he'd been hit by a speeding car, but his brain couldn't process the impact fast enough. The next thing he knew, he was crashing through the villa's walls. The Fallon family stared at the hole in the wall in a daze. Dale had maintained his ranking in the family for hundreds of years. They'd never seen anyone land a hit on him. Wayne blinked, thinking he was seeing things, but when he opened his eyes, the hole in the wall was still there. The young man's martial arts were beyond his imagination. He was much younger than Dale. He looked like he was in his 20s, but one attack had sent Dale through the wall. This was simply unbelievable. Nor was impressed. From what he had seen of Dale's speed and strength, he himself was no match for him. He didn't know Stephen had grown this strong. "Is that it?" Stephen asked. Wayne had nothing to say to defend himself. Dale had lost. That was a fact. Dale was strong enough to annihilate a country, but the young man had withstood his attacks and came out of it alive without a scratch on him. And that wasn't all. He'd even retaliated and injured Dale with one punch. Wayne and Rachel felt ashamed. They'd never expected him to lose. Dale had subverted the full impact of the attack. If he hadn't, he would have been killed. For the past few hundred years, he'd never considered anyone his opponent except for the 5 erudites and the other elderly martial artists among the aristocratic families who rarely showed themselves. Dale's voice rang out behind the wall. "You're a skilled young man. You're forcing me to go all out. The last time this happened was when I fought against the 5 erudites. You're the second person to push me to this extent. Consider yourself honored." The wall exploded with a bang, and Dale stepped out. A cold breeze swept over the yard. The leaves danced in the wind and swirled around his outstretched hands. The breeze picked up, and a gust of wind howled across the clearing. The Fallon family almost lost their balance. "What was that?" Rachel asked, raising her voice to be heard above the wind. She'd never seen Dale's martial arts before. "That's a legendary technique of our family," Wayne said. "Mastering the technique allows one to use the inner energy to control the wind. There's no manual on this technique. He must have learned it on his own." While they were talking, Dale launched his attack. The enormous spheres of leaves he'd gathered had blocked out the sun and headed straight for Stephen. Halfway through, the sphere burst, and the leaves scattered in all directions, leaving only the sharpened stems behind. Wayne was amazed by the spectacular sight. Dale had turned a harmless leaf into a deadly weapon, If the 5 erudites were on the receiving end, they would survive, but they wouldn't be unharmed. Dale had used this very technique to defeat the hundreds of thousands of troops in the northern country. Nor watched in alarm as a shower of razor-sharp stems rained down on Stephen. There was no openings and nowhere to run. Nor made a split-second decision to take the hit for Stephen, but before he had the chance to close the distance between them, the flying projectiles hit an invisible wall and changed direction. The needle-like stems pierced the ground, embedding deep into the earth. Stephen's body was encased in a veil of light, forming a barrier around the projectiles. Dale couldn't believe it. He'd never heard of a defensive technique that could block his attacks when he'd mastered the legendary technique of the Fallon family. Wayne and Rachel were frozen in shock. Just how strong was he? Before anyone could process the unbelievable scene that just went down, Stephen's figure blurred. He vanished and reappeared in front of Dale. Stephen swung his fist and landed a heavy blow on his chest. Dale felt like his internal organs were about to burst. He flew backwards, but managed to stay on his feet. He coughed up blood as he dropped to one knee and pressed a hand against the ground to hold himself up. Wayne and Rachel ran over to check on his injuries. "Mr. Wayne, you've made a mistake," Dale said. His voice was strained. "He doesn't just have the potential to rival the 5 erudites. He's already at their level." Wayne was horrified by the revelation. "He's as strong as them?" "What do you think?" Dale snapped. "He defeated me. What else is there to explain?" Wayne felt faint. He'd made a huge mistake. "Did that convince you?" Stephen asked. "I told you you weren't qualified to be my teacher. Do you believe me now?" Dale lowered his head in shame. "There's nothing to be ashamed of," Stephen continued. "You've surpassed most of the martial artists to exist. Your skills are impressive. Follow me from now on." Dale looked up, not understanding what he'd meant. Stephen smiled in amusement at the puzzled look on his face. "In other words, starting today, I'll be leading the Fallon family." His gaze swept over Wayne, Rachel, and the rest of the family. "Any objections?" The Fallon family lowered their gazes, not daring to make eye contact. Dale stayed quiet. He wanted to object, but there was nothing he could say. He'd lost, fair and square. "If any of you have any objections, feel free to come forward and challenge me," Stephen said. "I'll make whoever wins the head of the family." "I have no objections." Dale was the first to submit. He'd been ranked first for centuries. Naturally, Wayne, Rachel, and the rest followed his lead. Just yesterday, Wayne had been conflicted over giving up his position to recruit a martial arts genius into the family. And one day later, that was exactly how things had turned out. "I accept you as the head of the Fallon family," Wayne said. "I support you as well," Rachel said. It dawned on Wayne that there was only one person who could be this proficient in martial arts, and he was the only one who could instill a sense of fear into the hidden clans. "Sir, are you the Divine Sovereign?" Wayne and Rachel stared at the young man as the realization sank in. Who else but the Sovereign could overpower the Fallon family's legendary technique? Stephen laughed. "As expected of the #1 martial artist of the Fallon family. That's correct. I'm the Sovereign of the United States." He held out his hand. A sword materialized on his palm, emitting a brilliant light. After thousands of years of erosion, it looked the same as it had been first forged. "It's the Imperial Sword," Wayne exclaimed. Any trace of Dale's reluctance vanished. He lowered his head again, this time in respect. "It would be an honor to be your subordinate." Wayne knelt on the knee. "From this day onwards, the Fallon family will follow you and accept you as our leader." The rest of the family followed suit. When Stephen asked Wayne to give him his position yesterday, he hadn't been serious. Wayne and Rachel were being annoying, so he wanted to drive them away and make sure they never came back. When they showed up again with Dale, he'd made the decision to take them as his subordinates on a whim. There were only a few aristocrats who could compare to Dale's martial arts. This was the main reason the Fallon family was so powerful. As one of the top 10 aristocratic families, the Fallon family had access to confidential matters that others didn't. They might have valuable information that could help Stephen find the factions he was looking for. Wayne had wanted to recruit him into the family anyway. This was a win-win situation for both of them. "You'll be the new head of the family starting today," Wayne offered respectfully. Stephen shook his head. "No, that's your position." Wayne glanced up at him, confused. "The Fallon family will be under my command, but nothing else will change. Keeping this a secret from the public will benefit us both." "I understand. What do you need us to do?" Stephen held up 3 fingers. "It's not hard. First, compile a detailed file on every member of your family." Since the Fallon family was under his control, he had to understand the internal situation before anything else. Aside from that, he could check for anyone suspicious. He didn't know much about the hidden clans, so an investigation was necessary. "Second, show me all the ancient medical texts you have." The Fallon family was ranked 10th, so the ancient medicine they possessed would benefit the military greatly. "Third, send a group of instructors from your family. Make sure they're trained in your family's combat techniques." The strength of the military would increase if they could learn from the Fallon family. Stephen's 3 requests were related to the core of the Fallon family. After they were fulfilled, the family would no longer have any secrets to speak of. Wayne was still the head on the surface, but he had to answer to someone else. He was used to making decisions, so it was an odd feeling to have someone giving him orders. Stephen turned his attention to Dale. "Mr. Dale, returning to the family and living in seclusion would be a waste of your talent. Why don't you use this opportunity to officially end your seclusion and follow me?" It would be a waste for Dale to live out his life in the mountains. He was stronger than the 5 guardians of the palace. With his martial arts, there were many things he could accomplish with much less effort. Dale pondered for a moment before nodding. "You're my leader, so I'll do what you ask of me." That was partially true. Dale had his own reasons for agreeing to Stephen's request. He'd dominated the aristocratic families for more than 100 years. This was the first time he'd been subdued by anyone. Moreover, Stephen was young, and he was the sovereign. Dale was old, but working for someone with unlimited potential sparked his ambition from when he was younger. He wanted there to be a witness as Stephen brought on a wave of change that overturned the world. "Great," Stephen said with a smile. He turned back to Wayne, Rachel, and his subordinates. "Why do you all look so down?" The Fallon family supported Stephen as their leader, but they had mixed feelings about being under someone's command. They were used to giving orders, not being ordered around. Stephen saw through their concerns. "I know what you're thinking. You've been focusing on your martial arts since you were born. You haven't pursued anything else, but this is your chance to experience the world outside seclusion. You're under my command now, and if you don't know where to begin, you can start by using your talents for the country. Our country's prosperity depends on you." The Fallon family knew that there was a gap between the U.S. and Warhawk. If the hidden clans were to join forces with the outside, it would only be a matter of time before they surpassed Warhawk. They wouldn't be the first aristocrats to assist the country. Kylan and Sylvie were high-ranking officers in the military. Stephen was the sovereign and their leader. Being under his command wasn't necessarily a bad thing. He had the authority and the capability to bring about a new era for the aristocrats. Wayne didn't have any more doubts. "We understand. Is there anything else you'd like us to do?" "No, carry on with what you've been doing. I'll let you know when I have a mission for you." To Stephen, Wayne and Rachel's biggest mission was to protect Kim and Valeria. He couldn't say that out loud, but he'd said enough for Wayne to have a general understanding of his implications. "We'll return to the Cassidy family right away." When Wayne was about to gather their family members and leave, Rachel gave him a meaningful look. Wayne understood what she was trying to tell him. He turned back to Stephen. "Sir, may I ask if you're married?" Stephen wasn't expecting Wayne to ask that question. He and Rachel were living in the Cassidy family's residence, but they didn't know his true identity. It was a long story, and Stephen couldn't be bothered to explain. I am married, and I have a daughter. Wayne's expression turned awkward. He'd been planning to introduce his daughter to him. If things worked out, he and the Sovereign would become in-laws. Rachel was disappointed. She'd never met someone as strong as him. Do you have any other questions? Stephen asked. No more questions. We'll take our leave now. Wayne ushered Rachel and their family's subordinates out of the yard. Dale stayed behind with Stephen. The Cassidy family's butler informed the family when Wayne and Rachel returned. Everyone went out back to welcome them. They couldn't wait to meet the distinguished guest. But when Wayne and Rachel approached, there was no sign of any martial arts genius with them. On the contrary, they looked like they were in a bad mood. Rachel looked especially disappointed. What's wrong? DeAndre asked. Where's Mr. Dale? He didn't come back with you? He's working for that person now. I see. But where is that martial arts genius? Don't tell me he refused to join the family. Well, he is one of us, but what? DeAndre prompted. Wayne waved his hand dismissively. Never mind, it's classified. DeAndre glanced at the Cassidy family behind him before leaning closer and lowering his voice to a whisper. Is it confidential even to me? Wayne had no choice but to use Dale as an excuse to get out of explaining. Mr. Dale was the one who asked me to help keep the matter a secret. Under normal circumstances, Wayne would have told DeAndre, because he was his uncle and they were both members of the Fallon family. But the problem was that DeAndre was connected to the Cassidy family. Their new leader made it clear that this was to be kept under wraps. DeAndre could keep a secret, but he couldn't say the same about the Cassidy family. Their plan would be ruined if the Cassidy family leaked any information. It worked. When Wayne dropped Dale's name, DeAndre immediately turned serious. If it was Mr. Dale's request, then I won't ask any more questions. Dale held a high position in the Fallon family. Every member had to treat him with respect. After an eventful morning, Wayne and Rachel headed upstairs to their rooms to rest. When Rachel passed by, Rebecca called out to her. Miss Rachel, what's going on? It had been some time since Rachel had moved into their house, and Rebecca felt like they'd grown closer. But Rachel just glanced at her and said, Don't meddle in things that have nothing to do with you, before walking away. All aristocrats valued strength, and Rachel was no exception. The Cassidy family was far from being capable. They used tricks and flattery to get what they wanted when they had no real strength to speak of. She scorned the Cassidy family for this reason. Looks like we still haven't met their expectations, Helen said, disappointed. Don't dwell on it, DeAndre said. They're in a bad mood. They probably got into an argument with that person. There's one thing you can do to make them feel better. You mean that drug? Rome suggested. Yes, the credit will go to the Cassidy family if you get the drug for them. Wayne might let you join the Fallon family to repay you. We won't let you down, Helen promised. Good luck, DeAndre said. Harry, Rebecca, and Rome took action. Last time, they'd failed when they directly asked Stephen for the drug. This time, they would shift their attention to Victoria. After Kim and Valeria left home, Victoria returned to the Sierra family in New York City. It didn't take too long for Harry, Rebecca, and Rome to find her. They greeted her enthusiastically and acted friendly. Kim asked us to take you back to the district to see Valeria. She misses you. Victoria didn't doubt them. It had been a while since she'd left home. She hadn't seen Kim or Valeria for some time. She missed them both. The Sierra family didn't doubt Harry, Rebecca, or Rome either when they took Victoria away, because they were in-laws. Little did they know that she was being held hostage. It wasn't until they reached the district that Victoria realized that something was off. They weren't heading in the direction of the Cassidy family's residence. Where are we going? This isn't the road to your house. Rebecca didn't bother keeping up the act. We're not taking you to Valeria. We're going to see Stephen. Victoria tensed, realizing that they were up to no good. Why? We're going to use you to bargain for the drug. Victoria had seen the news. Stephen's name was on the list of those who'd be receiving the first batch of the drug. You're despicable. Rebecca turned around to scowl at her.
We're despicable? If it weren't for the Cassidy family, Stephen wouldn't have been as successful as he is today.
He has no respect for his elders, Harry said. That drug doesn't benefit him, but it's valuable to Grandma. He shouldn't be keeping the drug for himself, Rome said. We'll use you to make him hand it over. Victoria thought their reasoning was ridiculous. They were making it sound like Stephen owed them something. Stephen received the drug because of his contributions. It's up to him to decide what he wants to do with it. It's none of your business. Rebecca shrugged.
Doesn't matter what you say. We'll be making the decision for him. I'm actually kind of curious. Is the drug more important to him, or is his mother more important?
Don't bother arguing with her, Harry said. Rome, step on it. At this time, Camilla was driving Kim to the Wyvern group. Kim was staring out the window absent-mindedly when she noticed a few familiar faces inside the car passing by. Harry, Rome, Rebecca, and Victoria. Camilla, turn the car around. What's the matter? Follow that MPV. My mother-in-law is in the car. Camilla understood the situation. She made a U-turn and chased after their car. She was an excellent driver when she was in the military, and the skills she'd honed for many years were now being put to use. She caught up to Rome's car and stopped them in less than 5 minutes. Rome slammed on the brakes when a car swerved into their lane up ahead. He threw open the door to give the driver a piece of his mind. The Cassidy family was famous right now. No one would dare to provoke them. His pace slowed when he realized that it was Kim in the other car. Rome, what are you doing? She demanded, brushing past him to check the passengers. He stepped in front of her to block her view. Nothing. There's nothing to see. There's only family in the car. Victoria heard her voice and tried to get her attention. Kim, I'm in here. Where are you taking my mother? Kim demanded. It was too late to hide this from her now, so Rebecca didn't bother trying.
Who are you calling your mother? Make it clear or people will misunderstand. She's Stephen's mother, not yours.
This is none of your business, Harry said. Stay out of it. Stephen's mother is my mother. You're not taking her anywhere. Kim pushed past Rome and opened the door. Harry and Rebecca made no move to get out of the way, so Victoria could step out. If you insist on sitting there, then I'll call Grandpa and ask him to make your move. Rebecca jumped out of the car when Kim was about to dial DeAndre's number. Wait, let's talk things out. Getting Grandpa involved isn't necessary. DeAndre had given them permission to take the drug from Stephen, but he wouldn't be happy to find out that they'd taken Victoria hostage to get it done. Despite everything, she was Kim's mother-in-law.
We didn't want to do this either, Rebecca said. But we have our reasons. We need your mother-in-law to get Stephen to give us the drug.
You mean that drug from the officials? What do you want it for? Harry explained Helen's intentions of giving Wayne the drug to win his favor. It's Grandma's lifelong dream for the family to prosper. You're her granddaughter. Shouldn't you support her and help her realize her dream? Her dream is one thing. Threatening others is another, Kim shot back.
Fine. I admit that we had to resort to this because we're not capable enough, Rebecca conceded. But we didn't have a choice. The drug doesn't benefit Stephen, but it does benefit us. While Kim had questioned her origins many times, she was a part of the Cassidy family, and that was a fact that couldn't be changed. She knew how much they wanted to succeed, but the drug was Stephen's. It was his choice to keep it or give it away. Kim, what's there to think about? Rebecca asked. Stephen has no use for the drug, but it'll be a priceless treasure if it's in our hands. Rome's persuasive way with words made its appearance. Wayne and Rachel weren't in a good mood when they came back. You know what they say, staying with the king is like staying with a tiger. Our survival depends on their mood. That's why we have to give him the drug that everyone's dying to have, Rebecca finished. Maybe he'll even let us join the Fallon family if he's in a good mood. You're smart, so I'm sure you know which decision is the correct one, Harry said. Think about our family's future. Their words did nothing to convince her. Kim had expected this from the start. They made it sound like they were doing this for the sake of the family, but their true intention stemmed from their greed and selfish desires. They kidnapped Victoria to get the drug from Stephen for the sole purpose of getting on Wayne's good side and soaring to the top. More importantly, even if they let Victoria leave with her now, there was no telling what they might do in the future to force Stephen to hand over the drug. Rather than leave them to their own devices, it would be better to discuss this with Stephen and come up with a solution. Kim held up a hand to stop their rambling. That's enough. Let my mother go. I'll have a talk with Stephen. You're going? Harry asked. He was surprised and delighted by her answer. Great, we'll leave it to you. If Kim personally went to ask Stephen for the drug, he would give it to her, no questions asked. But I have a condition, Kim said. Don't target my mother again. Relax, we won't do anything to her, Harry promised. There's nothing to worry about. Go and have a chat with Stephen. When Kim arrived at the villa, Stephen was surprised to see her. Kim, why are you here? Why can't I be here? Can't I come back to my own home? Of course you can. Welcome home. You're not mad at me anymore? Stephen smiled at her, in the same way he always did when he saw her, full of affection. He could be in the worst of moods, but when she came over, he would light up like all was right in the world because she was there. It made Kim want to forgive him, but she couldn't, not when the issue with Sylvie was still up in the air. She hadn't forgotten how he'd sided with Sylvie rather than his own wife. Whether he had his reasons or not, he didn't seem ready to talk about them. So she couldn't forgive him yet. No, I'm still mad at you. I'm here because I have something to talk to you about. Oh, what is it? Stephen looked so dejected that it made her chest tighten. To begin with, she'd come here without a plan. She was an eloquent speaker at work, but she had no idea how to bring up the topic of the drug without making him think she wanted it. She was here to discuss countermeasures, not the drug. Well, you see, I know you went to Annapolis the other day. You're talking about the drug, right? Stephen finished for her. Nor, bring the box over. Nor nodded. He went inside and came back with an exquisite box in hand. This is the drug, Stephen said. You can have it. Open the box, Nor. When Nor was about to insert the key and lift the lid of the box, Kim stopped him. Wait a second, Stephen, this isn't just any drug. It's valuable. You're not even going to ask why I brought it up? You're just going to give it to me? I don't need to know. You're my wife. If there's anything you want, I'll give it to you, whatever it may be. And if I don't have it, I'll search the world for it and get it for you. Kim was touched. He cared about her so much. It hadn't even been 5 minutes, and she'd found herself wanting to forgive him yet again. She was aware of how valuable the drug was. The officials had refused when a neighboring country offered a good deal to bargain for it. Stephen was giving it to her without hesitation. Kim hadn't come here with the intention of walking out with the drug. She'd wanted to talk it out and come up with a solution that didn't involve handing it over to the Cassidy family. It's okay, Kim, Stephen said, noticing her reluctance. You came here for a reason, and I don't need to know what it is. If this drug will make your life easier, then take it. Nor, give her the box and the key. Nor held out the 2 items. Miss Kim, the drug is inside the box. This is the key, you need to open it. Please accept them. Kim took them, but she wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do. Is it really okay if I leave with this? Yeah, it's yours now. Kim made it 5 steps to the gates before turning around. Stephen, I'll wait 3 months for you. Come and pick up me and Valeria when the time comes. Okay, wait for me, Stephen said. But he didn't have to wait 3 months for that. He could bring them home as soon as he wrapped up the matter at hand. Is this the drug everyone's talking about? Harry, Rebecca, and Rome surrounded Kim when she came out of the villa. They eyed the box with curiosity. Yes, don't forget what you promised me. Don't worry, we won't forget. The 3 of them took the box and headed to the Cassidy family's residence. Helen was in high spirits when she found out they'd succeeded. This drug would decide their family's future. She went to look for DeAndre, and he took them to see Wayne and Rachel. Wayne was holed up in his room, still feeling disappointed that the Sovereign was married. He was less than pleased when the Cassidy family came to bother him. "Is there something you need?" "I have good news. The Cassidy family has a gift for you," DeAndre explained. "A gift?" Rachel asked. "What could they possibly have that we don't?" "The outside can't compare to our world, but they do have treasures that we don't. See for yourself." DeAndre waved Helen over. She came forward and said, "Mr. Wayne, Miss Rachel, I believe you've heard of the high-profile drug from the officials of the country." "Of course we've heard about it," Wayne snapped. "They say it's a miraculous drug that can revive the dead. It has the ability to delay aging and extend one's lifespan. Why are you bringing this up? Don't tell me you have it." The aristocratic families were proficient in ancient medicine, but this drug went beyond that. Their centuries of research on ancient medicine hadn't produced anything like it. "Yes, it's our gift to you," Helen said with a smile. "Rebecca, bring it over." Rebecca opened the box with the key. The vial was inside. Wayne picked it up and examined the clear liquid inside the tube. As the head of the Fallon family, he could tell if it was real or fake with one glance. The drug in his hand was real. The supply was limited. It had yet to be mass-produced. The only ones in possession of this drug were those who had contributed to the country. The lifespan of aristocrats was longer than outsiders because they'd been practicing martial arts since they were young. Their lifespan would be doubled if they consumed this drug. They could live up to 300 to 500 years. The drug lifted Wayne's spirits. "This is indeed worthy of being called a gift. You deserve a reward for your efforts. Tell me, what do you want?" The Cassidy family knew their opportunity had come when they saw him in a good mood. This was their chance to forge a direct connection with the aristocratic family. "There's not much Wayne can't do," DeAndre said. "Speak your mind." "Thank you," Helen said. "Actually, there is one thing we want. It's not difficult." "What is it?" "As you know, the Cassidy family has the blood of the Fallon family. We would like to join your family. Please accept our request." The Cassidy family waited eagerly for Wayne's answer. If they officially became members of the Fallon family, no one would ever look down on them again. "Is that all?" Wayne asked. "I thought you were going to ask for something more." "I approve. Starting today, the Cassidy family will be a part of the Fallon family." Helen set her cane aside and dropped to one knee. "Thank you, Mr. Wayne. We won't let you down." The rest of the Cassidy family followed her lead and knelt down. Wayne was satisfied. The Sovereign was the true leader of the Fallon family. It wasn't that big of a deal for the Cassidy family to join them, but Wayne still had to report it to him. This would be his first time making a decision that concerned the family since the Sovereign had taken them under his command. If Wayne didn't ask for permission, and the Sovereign found out later down the line, there was a possibility he could take it the wrong way. Not to mention, Wayne had already sent someone to give the Sovereign a document that included the profile of every person in the family. He wouldn't know how to justify himself if a new member appeared out of nowhere. Wayne was relieved that Rachel had reminded him before he made an official announcement to the public. "You're right. I was getting ahead of myself." He turned back to the Cassidy family. "Let me think this over before making a decision." The Cassidy family stood up in disappointment. When they made their request, Wayne hadn't hesitated to agree. Why did he suddenly change his mind? What had Rachel said to him? DeAndre was also surprised. "Did something happen?" Wayne was the head of the Fallon family. Letting the Cassidy family join them was a matter of a few words, but judging from what he just said, it sounded like he didn't have the authority to make the decision on his own. "It's a long story. It's better if you didn't know." The Cassidy family was DeAndre's family, and he was Wayne's uncle. If it were anyone else, Wayne could have brushed off his question. But with DeAndre, he needed a logical reason. "I need to discuss this with Mr. Dale. You know what I mean. He came outside because of me. I have to ask for his opinion." Wayne didn't wait for a response before leaving the room. Rachel hurried after him. "What happened?" Helen asked, confused by Wayne's sudden change in attitude. "Did we do something wrong?" "No," DeAndre replied. Wayne was pleased with the gift. He doesn't mind letting you join the family, but he has to ask Mr. Dale for permission. He's strict, so Wayne will have to persuade him. Frankly, DeAndre wasn't sure if Wayne had been telling the truth. Dale rarely left the mountains, and he was almost never involved in their family affairs. If Wayne hadn't asked him to come outside, he never would have left his home. It was a small matter to let the Cassidy family become one of them. But since this was an excuse that Wayne had given him, DeAndre could only wait for his return to the Cassidy family. "I'm glad you're here with me, Rachel," Wayne said, stepping out of the house. "It's not a big deal to add members to our family, but we have to report to that person." Rachel nodded seriously. "He won't like it if he finds out that we let the Cassidy family join us without asking for his opinion." The Sovereign was capable of subduing Dale. Under normal circumstances, Wayne would have refused Helen's request to avoid bothering the Sovereign. But the temptation of the miracle drug was too great to pass up. Besides, this was a trivial matter, and the Sovereign would probably agree without delving into the details. If it worked out, Wayne would have the drug in his possession and make his uncle happy by letting his family join them. Stephen was surprised to see Wayne and Rachel back so soon. The last time they saw each other was this morning. "It's like this," Wayne began respectfully. "I wanted to ask for your permission." "For what?" "I plan to have the Cassidy family become members of the Fallon family. It's a trivial matter, and I didn't want to waste your time on it, but you are the leader now. I thought it would be better to report it to you before going ahead with it." "The Cassidy family? What qualifications do they have to join us? When did the standards of the aristocratic families fall so low? Even the Beaumont families in Annapolis didn't meet the standards. How did the Cassidy family win your favor?" Wayne was put on the spot by his repeated questions. He hadn't expected to be questioned so thoroughly, but he couldn't possibly tell the Sovereign that he had received the drug from the Cassidy family and was planning to use it for his own gain. Stephen was quick to catch on that there was more to the story. "What exactly is going on? Tell me honestly." Wayne was intimidated by his piercing gaze. "Please calm down. I'll explain everything." After listening to his explanation, Stephen understood why Kim had come over to discuss the drug with him. The Cassidy family was behind this, and they'd probably gotten her to come here with one of their nefarious schemes. The thought of them taking advantage of her because he'd refused to give them the drug infuriated him. Stephen slammed his fist on the table. "That drug was distributed to those who contributed to the country. To make that a condition for joining the Fallon family is ridiculous. Are you trying to advertise that anyone can become one of you, no matter who they are, as long as their bribes are sufficient?" Wayne shrank back in fear. No, I didn't have that intention." Dale shook his head in disappointment. "You're the head of the Fallon family. Why would you consider doing something so foolish?" Also, without giving Wayne a chance to catch his breath, Stephen continued to interrogate him. "What qualifications do you have to take the drug? What have you done for the country?" Rachel stepped in and spoke up for her father. "This is a misunderstanding. Dad didn't ask for the drug. The Cassidy family offered it to him. Getting the drug for himself never crossed his mind until today." "If it hasn't crossed your mind before, then why is he still standing there?" Dale demanded. "It sure looks like you two are planning to take the drug yourselves." Wayne immediately held out the box with the vial inside. "Accept it, Nor," Stephen said. When he gave Kim the drug this afternoon, he hadn't expected it to come back to him in a full circle. Dale continued to reprimand Wayne and Rachel. "Don't do something like this again, understand?" "Understood," they hurriedly replied. Since the drug was out of his hands, Wayne cautiously said, "If there's nothing else, then we'll take our leave." He was worried that the Sovereign wouldn't let him go if he stayed 1 second too long. He would be returning to the Cassidy family empty-handed, but his life was more important than being humiliated. Stephen waved his hand. "All right, you can leave." Wayne and Rachel hurried to the door, but he called them back before they could make it outside. "Hold on!" Wayne's heart caught in his throat. Were he and Rachel going to be killed right here and now, on the Sovereign's doorstep? He slowly turned around and asked in a shaky voice, Do you
Have any other instructions for us? Stephen was amused by the fear on Wayne's face. Was there a need to be so afraid? I changed my mind. You're the head of the Fallon family. The Cassidy family isn't qualified to join you, but you agreed already, so you can't go back on your word. That will raise questions that someone else is controlling the family. I'll keep the drug, but tell the Cassidy family that you accepted it and that you'll let them join the family. Wayne brightened. He would be able to preserve his reputation. As for the drug, it wasn't important anymore. He went back to the Cassidy family's residence with Rachel and announced that they would be joining the Fallon family. He also made a public announcement. The Cassidy family was ecstatic. They had been exploiting others all this time to maintain their status, but today they were officially members of an aristocratic family. The Beaumont families were nothing to them. Even the Adams family had to treat them with respect. No one in the country had expected the Cassidy family to soar through the ranks so quickly. They caused a huge commotion when the news spread. This was the first time an aristocratic family had taken in a family from the outside. Many upper-class families paid them a visit in Washington, D.C. The gifts they were sent were so numerous that they could be arranged from the house all the way to the outskirts of the district. The Cassidy family didn't keep a low profile either. They held a feast for 3 days to welcome all the guests who came to visit. When DeAndre first returned to the family, the younger generation's status had risen, including Harry, Rebecca, and Rome. Now they were even more sought after than ever. They became known as the outstanding talents of the younger generation, which only served to boost their ego. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that their arrogance was even worse than Johan's when he was alive.